Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of rare quarter-dollar coins, cause some of these coins hold an incredible history, and some are worth millions. So today, we are gonna uncover the rarest varieties and their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today. We have something truly fascinating from American history, a coin that tells a story of freedom, celebration, and unexpected fortune. We're talking about the United States of America Washington quarter dollar, the legendary bicentennial coin dated 1776 to 1976. This special quarter is far more than just spare change. It's a symbol of the nation's 200 years of independence, and, in some rare cases, it's worth an unbelievable amount of money. Now, take a close look at your old coins because this particular Washington quarter might be hiding in your collection without you even realizing how special it is. It's a coin that millions of people once carried in their pockets. Yet only a few lucky ones have versions that are worth small fortunes today. Let's start by exploring a little bit of history. The Washington Bicentennial Quarter was released in 1975 and 1976 to celebrate 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Instead of showing the usual eagle on the back, this commemorative coin features a striking design of a colonial drummer boy holding a drum, with a victory torch surrounded by 13 stars symbolizing the original colonies. On the front, of course, you have the iconic profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States, facing left with the dual date 1776 to 1976 below his chin. Every part of this coin was designed to capture the patriotic spirit of America's bicentennial celebration. These quarters were minted in massive numbers, which might make you think they're all common. But here's the twist. Not all quarters are created equal. Most of them were made for everyday use and circulation, but a small number were struck using special metals and minting processes. Some were produced in silver, and others had unique errors that turned them from ordinary change into collectors' dreams. This is where things get exciting. Among the most sought-after bicentennial quarters are those made from 40% silver. These were part of special collector sets sold by the U.S. Mint and never meant for everyday circulation. Over time, some of these special coins entered the public, often by accident. If you find one, it will sound slightly different when dropped on a hard surface. A clear ring instead of a dull thud. That's the sound of silver, but it doesn't stop there. Some rare minting errors have made certain 1776 to 1976 quarters incredibly valuable. Collectors look for doubled dies, off-center strikes, and coins with missing layers or misaligned designs. A doubled die means that parts of the design, such as the lettering or the drummer boy's features, appear slightly doubled when examined under magnification. Off-center strikes, where the design is shifted away from the center, are also highly prized. Even small variations like these can increase the coin's value dramatically because they are genuine mistakes from the mint, accidents that survived inspection and made it into circulation. Then, there's the special case of quarters struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a bicentennial design accidentally minted on a coin blank meant for a dime or a foreign coin. Extremely rare, but real examples exist, and those can sell for astonishing amounts of money at auction. These are the kinds of coins collectors dream about finding. What makes this coin so beloved by collectors? It's not only the rarity or errors, it's the emotion tied to it. The Washington Bicentennial Quarter represents America's pride, resilience, and history. Holding one feels like holding a tiny piece of the nation's 200th birthday celebration. For coin enthusiasts, it's a perfect blend of beauty, symbolism, and mystery. Every collector knows the thrill of discovering that one coin that looks just a little different. Maybe you've seen that drummer boy hundreds of times, but have you ever checked the edge, the luster, the mint mark, or tiny imperfections? A small detail could turn what seems like pocket change into a once-in-a-lifetime find. And here's the part you don't want to miss. While most 1776 to 1976 quarters are worth only their face value, certain rare versions, especially those in pristine, uncirculated condition with unique minting errors, have shocked collectors with their market value. Imagine finding one in your collection that was perfectly struck, brilliantly preserved, and unlike any other. That single coin could transform your understanding of what spare change truly means. So, next time you're sorting through your old coins or checking your change from the store, take a moment to look closely at any Washington quarter with the 1776 to 1976 date. Check for that drummer boy, inspect every detail, and if you spot something special, it might just be your lucky day, because believe it or not, one rare Washington Bicentennial quarter has been valued at an astonishing $84,000. Top 2, we're uncovering the mystery behind one of the most talked about coins in American numismatics, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1967. It might look like an ordinary quarter that you've seen 1,000 times before, but trust me, some of these coins have shocked collectors with their incredible rarity, strange minting errors, and unbelievable value. So sit back, pay close attention, and let's take a deep dive into the secret world of the 1967 Washington quarter. Let's start with the setting. It was the late 60s, a time of change, innovation, and excitement in the United States. The country had just gone through the switch from silver coins to a new copper-nickel composition, and in 1967, the mint was still perfecting the process. During this period, there were no mint marks used on quarters, meaning you won't find a D or S below Washington's portrait, because the mint wanted to discourage collectors from hoarding coins. That decision makes identifying certain special quarters more challenging, but it also adds a touch of mystery. On the front of the coin, we see the familiar profile of George Washington facing left, with the word Liberty proudly above his head and the date 1967 below. On the back, you'll find the bold American eagle, wings spread wide, clutching arrows and an olive branch, symbols of both strength and peace. While millions of these coins were struck, not every one of them came out exactly the same. Some were minted with tiny flaws, metal variations, or striking errors that today make them treasures for those who know where to look. One of the biggest reasons collectors chase the 1967 quarter is because of these fascinating minting errors. Imagine finding a coin that has a doubled image on Washington's face or the lettering that looks slightly shadowed. That's what we call a doubled die. These coins are rare and valuable because they were created when the die that stamped the coin slipped or was struck more than once in slightly different positions. Some even show doubling on the word Liberty or the date, making them stand out immediately to trained eyes. Then there are the off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted away from the center of the coin. Depending on how much of the design is missing, the value can jump from a few dollars to thousands. Collectors adore these because they represent real mistakes that escaped the mint's quality control. Another prized variation is the missing clad layer error. Remember, by 1967 quarters were no longer made of silver, but rather a sandwich of copper and nickel layers. If one of those layers was missing during production, the coin would appear with a different color or even weigh slightly less. Those pieces are highly sought after because they're true one-of-a-kind minting anomalies. A few lucky collectors have even discovered coins that were struck on the wrong planchet altogether. This happens when a blank mint for a dime or a foreign coin slips into the quarter press, resulting in a smaller or thinner coin with partial designs. These spectacular mint errors are incredibly rare and can sell for jaw-dropping prices at auction. If you ever find a quarter that just feels different, lighter, smaller, or oddly colored, don't spend it. It could be something very special. Condition plays a huge role too. A 1967 Washington quarter that has been heavily circulated might only be worth its face value, but one in brilliant, uncirculated, or proof-like condition can attract serious attention. Some coins were struck with specially polished dies to create a mirror-like finish for collector sets, and these are far rarer than regular circulation strikes. Collectors pay premiums for coins with sharp details, smooth surfaces, and original luster, especially if they've been carefully preserved for decades. What makes this coin even more appealing is the nostalgia it carries. The 1967 quarter represents an important transition in American coinage, right between the classic silver era and the modern clad era. It's a piece of history you can hold in your hand, connecting the patriotic image of Washington to the technological advances of modern minting. For numismatists, that combination of beauty, history, and potential value is irresistible. So how can you tell if you found one of these special pieces? Grab a magnifying glass, look closely at the details, and compare your coin to online reference images. Check for doubling on the letters, shifts in the strike, or unusual edges. Feel the weight and sound of the coin. It should have a distinct ring when dropped on a hard surface, but an error coin might sound duller or sharper. Every subtle clue can make a big difference. Every year, more collectors join the hunt for rare quarters, and prices for exceptional coins keep rising. The excitement comes not just from the money, but from the thrill of discovery. The idea that something extraordinary could be hiding in an ordinary roll of coins. And for the 1967 Washington quarter, that excitement is absolutely justified, because among all the coins minted that year, there are a handful that stand apart. Coins struck with rare errors, perfect preservation, or unique characteristics that make them worth far more than anyone would expect. These are the hidden gems that collectors dream of finding, the tiny time capsules that carry both history and value. And now, for the part you've been waiting for. Believe it or not, one incredibly rare 1967 Washington quarter, with extraordinary condition and a remarkable minting error, has been valued at an astonishing $80,000. Top 3, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1972. At first glance, it might look like any other quarter you've spent or saved, but beneath that familiar silver shine lies a world of secrets, rare errors, and incredible value that has stunned collectors around the world. So, grab your magnifying glass, settle in, and listen closely, because this is one story you don't want to miss. Let's start by traveling back in time to 1972. The United States was in a decade of change, space exploration, cultural shifts, and a new generation embracing modern America. The mint was producing millions of coins to meet growing demand, and the Washington quarter was already one of the nation's most iconic designs. Introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the quarter's portrait had become a symbol of American pride. By 1972, it had been in circulation for 40 years, and the mint continued striking these quarters in copper-nickel-clad composition rather than silver, which had been phased out a few years earlier. Now, let's take a closer look at its design. On the front side, or obverse, you'll find the profile of George Washington, facing left, with the word liberty above and the phrase "In God We Trust" beside him. Beneath his chin, the date 1972 stands proudly. Flip it over, and you'll see the mighty American eagle, wings spread wide, gripping arrows and an olive branch, symbols of war and peace. The design is strong, simple, and patriotic, perfectly capturing the spirit of the United States. But here's where things get exciting. Not all 1972 quarters were struck equally. Among the millions produced, a few were made with striking errors and minting anomalies that make them incredibly rare and valuable today. These errors are what make coin collecting such an adventure. It's the thrill of discovering something extraordinary hidden in the ordinary. One of the most famous errors in the 1972 Washington quarter series is the doubled die. This happens when the die that strikes the coin imprints the design twice, slightly offset, creating a ghost-like doubling effect on the letters or features of the design. If you look closely at the word liberty or the motto "In God We Trust" and notice any doubling, you could be holding a highly sought-after piece. Doubling on Washington's eye or the date can also signal a valuable error coin. Then there are off-center strikes, coins that were not properly aligned during minting. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing, sometimes dramatically. The more off-center the strike, the rarer the coin becomes. Collectors adore these because no two are exactly alike, and they provide a glimpse into the unpredictable world of minting. Another error that can turn an ordinary 1972 quarter into a collector's dream is a clipped planchet. This occurs when the metal blank, or planchet, is improperly cut before the coin is struck, leaving a curved, bite-shaped section missing from the edge. It's a fascinating mistake that adds instant rarity. And let's not forget the transitional and wrong planchet errors. Imagine a 1972 quarter accidentally struck on a dime planchet or a foreign coin blank. These unusual mistakes are incredibly rare and have sold for extraordinary amounts at auction. Some of these coins weigh slightly less, or the design doesn't fully fit on the coin's surface. If you find one that looks just a bit smaller or thinner than normal, don't ignore it. You might be looking at a valuable minting error. Condition also plays a massive role in determining value. The higher the grade, the more desirable the coin. A 1972 quarter in circulated condition is common, but one in brilliant, uncirculated, or proof-like condition can attract serious attention. Proof coins, which were specially made for collectors with mirror-like finishes, can show breathtaking detail and shine. Coins that have never been used, stored carefully since minting, can sell for many times their face value. Now, you might wonder, why is the 1972 Washington quarter such a favorite among collectors? The answer lies in its charm and transitional history. It bridges the classic design era of early Washington quarters and the coming changes of later decades. For many, it represents the end of an age before commemorative and state quarters took over. Every small imperfection, every minting flaw tells a story that coin enthusiasts can't resist. If you're lucky enough to find a 1972 quarter that looks different, maybe a doubled die, a misstrike, or a coin with a strange color or weight, don't spend it. Handle it carefully, keep it in a coin holder, and consider getting it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. Even small details can make a world of difference in its value. The beauty of coin collecting is that the next big discovery could be in your pocket right now. People have found life-changing coins while sorting through old jars, family collections, or even loose change. That's what makes this hobby so thrilling. It combines history, art, and a little bit of luck. And now we come to the moment every collector waits for, the true highlight of this story. Among all the 1972 Washington quarters ever minted, a few have surfaced that stand out for their exceptional condition and rare minting errors. These coins have amazed experts and stunned collectors with their extraordinary worth. Believe it or not, one rare and flawless 1972 Washington quarter, featuring a remarkable minting error and preserved in pristine condition, has been valued at an incredible $78,000. Top 4. We're stepping into the world of American history and hidden treasures with a coin that may look simple, but hides incredible surprises. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1979. This isn't just pocket change. It's a piece of history, a slice of artistry, and for a few lucky collectors, a ticket to an extraordinary payday. So grab your magnifying glass, because by the end of this video, you'll be looking at every 1979 quarter with brand new eyes. Let's take a trip back to 1979. The United States was changing fast. New technologies, shifting culture, and a growing fascination with collectibles. The mint was busy striking millions of Washington quarters, coins that would soon become one of the most recognizable symbols of American currency. The Washington quarter had already been in circulation for nearly 5 decades, first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. By 1979, it had become part of daily life, used in payphones, vending machines, and arcade games all across the country. But hidden among those millions of coins are rare treasures that collectors still hunt for today. Now, let's look at the design that makes this coin so timeless. On the front, you'll find the proud profile of George Washington, facing left, with the word liberty above him and the motto "In God We Trust" to his left. Below his chin sits the date, 1979. Flip the coin over, and there's the majestic bald eagle, wings spread, holding arrows and an olive branch. Powerful symbols of both strength and peace. The simplicity of this design is exactly what gives it charm and historical depth. But what makes some of these 1979 quarters so valuable isn't just their look. It's the hidden minting secrets and unexpected errors that slip past the mint's inspection process. During 1979, quarters were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The ones from Philadelphia carry no mint mark. Denver coins have a small D, and San Francisco coins display an S. But here's where the real magic happens. Certain coins from this year feature rare mistakes and unusual minting variations that make them worth far more than 25 cents. Collectors have discovered doubled dies, off-center strikes, and even missing clad layer errors that transform these coins into prized possessions. The doubled die is one of the most famous types of minting errors. It happens when the die, the metal piece that stamps the coin's design, impresses the image twice, slightly out of alignment. If you look closely at your 1979 quarter and see doubled lines around the letters, numbers, or Washington's eye, you might be holding a genuine doubled die coin. Some of these show clear doubling on the word liberty or the motto "In God We Trust," and those details can make all the difference in the world of coin collecting. Another exciting variation is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank isn't properly aligned with the press, causing part of the design to be missing. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 10% or 20% off-center quarter already draws attention, but an error so extreme that part of Washington's face or the date disappears could fetch thousands of dollars. Each one is unique, a rare glimpse into the unpredictable side of coin production. But there's also the missing clad layer error, a fascinating mistake that creates a coin with an unusual color or lighter weight. Quarters after 1965 were made with a copper core covered by layers of nickel. If one of those nickel layers is missing, the coin appears coppery or reddish in tone, and that mistake makes it rare and collectible. Even more intriguing are wrong planchet errors, when a quarter is struck on a blank mint for another denomination, like a dime or foreign coin. These pieces look smaller or thinner than normal, and their value skyrockets because they're true one-of-a-kind minting oddities. Condition is another key factor in determining worth. A heavily circulated 1979 quarter will usually only be worth its face value, but a coin in uncirculated or proof condition can command serious interest. Proof coins, especially those from San Francisco, were struck with highly polished dies to create mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. If you find one of these proof coins with an error or doubling, you could be holding something truly special. Even the tiniest imperfection can elevate the value dramatically. The Washington quarter holds a special place in the hearts of collectors because it represents American history, tradition, and resilience. Every scratch, shine, or mark tells a story that might stretch from the hands of a 1970s store clerk to the pocket of a modern collector. For coin lovers, that connection to history makes the hunt even more thrilling. So, what should you do if you find a 1979 Washington quarter that looks a little unusual? First, don't spend it. Keep it safe in a coin holder or protective sleeve. Examine it under good lighting or with a magnifying glass, and look for doubling, misstrikes, or color changes. If you believe you've found a rare variety, consider getting it professionally graded by a trusted service such as PCGS or NGC. A graded coin with verified authenticity can sell for many times its face value. Coins like this remind us that treasures don't always come from treasure chests. Sometimes, they're sitting quietly in your change jar, waiting to be noticed. The 1979 Washington quarter is one of those hidden gems, a piece of everyday currency that carries the potential for extraordinary worth. And now for the part every collector waits for. Among the many 1979 Washington quarters minted, there exists a handful so exceptional, so perfectly preserved, and so rare in their error patterns that they've stunned experts and broken records at auction. Believe it or not, one incredible 1979 Washington quarter, showcasing a remarkable minting error and flawless condition, has been valued at an astonishing $75,000. Top 5, we're diving into a coin that's been quietly sitting in pockets, drawers, and old jars for decades. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1981. You've probably seen this coin 100 times, maybe even spin it without a second thought. But what if I told you that some of these quarters hide incredible secrets that could turn ordinary change into a small treasure? Stick around, because this is one of those stories you'll want to hear all the way to the end. Let's take a step back in time to the early 1980s. The United States was a nation full of change, a new decade, a new president, and a new sense of energy and optimism. The U.S. Mint was producing millions of Washington quarters to keep up with growing demand. But as with any large production run, mistakes happened, and it's those mistakes that make certain 1,981 quarters some of the most desirable coins among collectors today. The Washington quarter had already been an American classic for almost 50 years by that time. It was first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday and quickly became one of the most recognizable coins in circulation. On the obverse, or front, you'll find Washington's noble profile facing left, the word liberty arched proudly above his head, and the date 1981 just below his chin. The words "In God We Trust" stand firmly beside him, a constant reminder of the nation's heritage. Flip it over, and the reverse side features the bold American eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with its wings outstretched. Below, you'll see two olive branches, timeless symbols of peace. Simple, elegant, and distinctly American. But as beautiful as the design is, the true excitement begins when you start to notice the little differences, the kinds of details that turn a regular coin into something extraordinary. Now, here's what makes the 1981 quarter so fascinating. Even though millions were minted, only a handful have unique traits that set them apart. The U.S. Mint struck these coins in three locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The ones from Philadelphia have no mint mark, those from Denver bear a small D, and the coins from San Francisco carry an S. Each mint used slightly different dies and striking pressures, and that's where rare variations and errors were born. One of the most exciting varieties collectors hunt for is the double die error. This happens when the die that stamps the design onto the coin shifts slightly between impressions, causing letters, numbers, or parts of Washington's face to appear doubled. If you look closely at the word Liberty or In God We Trust and see what looks like a faint shadow or duplicate outline, you might be holding one of these prized errors. Doubling on the date or the eagle's wings can also make the coin exceptionally rare. Then there's the off-center strike, an error that occurs when the coin blank isn't perfectly positioned during the minting process. The result is a coin where the design is shifted or missing on one side. The more off-center the design, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. Some collectors pay incredible premiums for off-center strikes that still show the complete date or most of Washington's portrait. Another rare and interesting minting error involves missing clad layers. Since quarters after 1965 were made with a copper core sandwiched between nickel layers, sometimes one of those outer layers failed to attach properly. This results in a coin that looks coppery, reddish, or has unusual coloring and texture. Missing clad layer coins are eye-catching and highly collectible because they're unmistakably different from normal quarters. Yet there's also the possibility of a coin struck on the wrong planchet, a rare but real event. Imagine a quarter accidentally struck on a blank mint for a dime or foreign coin. These coins might weigh less or have incomplete designs because the smaller planchet couldn't fit the full quarter image. Such errors are extremely rare and can sell for thousands of dollars. Condition plays a huge role in determining a coin's worth. Circulated quarters, the ones that have passed through countless hands, are typically worth their face value. But uncirculated or proof coins, especially those preserved in perfect condition, can be worth far more. Proof coins were specially made for collectors with highly polished dies that give them mirror-like finishes and sharp details. A flawless 1981 proof quarter with an error could be the crown jewel of any collection. The story of the Washington quarter isn't just about metal and mint marks. It's about history and identity. Each coin is a snapshot of the era it was born in. The 1981 quarter marks the final years before the U.S. Mint began preparing for major design changes in later decades. For collectors, it represents both the end of a classic era and the beginning of a new one. That makes it not only valuable, but deeply meaningful. So, if you have some old quarters lying around, take a closer look. Hold them up to the light. Study every detail. Check for doubling, strange colors, or off-center features. Sometimes, what looks like a tiny imperfection can actually be a sign of something very rare. The key is patience and attention. Two things every great coin collector learns to master. Every year, people discover rare coins in the most unexpected places, tucked in change jars, passed down from grandparents, or found in rolls from the bank. And yes, there are still treasures hiding in plain sight. The Washington quarter from 1981 is living proof that history, art, and fortune can all come together in the palm of your hand. Now comes the part every coin lover waits for. The real reason this coin has earned its legendary reputation. Among all the quarters minted in 1981, a select few with extraordinary minting errors and pristine condition have achieved values that leave collectors speechless. Believe it or not, one remarkable 1981 Washington quarter, showcasing a rare minting anomaly and flawless preservation, has been valued at an astonishing $72,000.